Hi, this is Paul Kinkowski with the Systems Conference. I'm here with my longtime friend, Deb Newell. We've been friends for probably about 7-8 years. We've been going to the same conferences, doing the same stuff. I knew Deb back when she owned her own property management company. Me and Deb actually ended up going to the same property management company after we left property management. Deb has a very thriving consulting business. I know a lot of people who have had consulting with her, have used her, and she just knows her stuff. She's been living in Arizona, a bunch of other places now that she's consulting, but she flies all over the place doing lots of getting people so they have better systems, better processes, better ways of being more efficient as a company. Only heard rave reviews every time I talk to someone who's used Deb. Deb, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Paul. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. So Deb, can you give us a little bit of background of what you do, what your company is?
Sure. So we do property management consulting. We do it for both single family and multifamily. And really the best way I describe it is we kind of do a deep dive into your business. We look at, a lot of people who come to me and they'll have symptoms of problems that they think are going on or that have relate to them, whether it's people leaving, whether it's, systems just not working, just a myriad of different reasons. And, they want to grow, they want to make more money. So I take a deep dive into the company, look at all aspects of it from, I call it the soup to nuts thing, and just kind of look at everything and then diagnose really what's going on. And, it could be a lot of different things, but it could be people, process, technology. It could be all three. We look at marketing, we look at revenue streams. So we offer a lot of different solutions depending on what really comes out from all of that discovery period, and then build on top of that. So again, really depending on what the immediate need is, we kind of map it out. We will do a roadmap. We'll do an executive summary for that. We'll put it into our roadmap, and then we phase it out to say, here's where we're going to start, and then here's where we're going to end up. And these are the projected results of what's going to happen.
Have you been to the Systems Conference before?
Have not. Have not, but I've heard such good things about it, which is kind of why I was jumping on that bandwagon and say, okay, I'm going to try this out.
Yeah, no, I've wanted you to come out to it the last couple of years. I knew that it would, you're the type of person we would want there. Systems conferences, people are going there to improve their businesses. That's what your business does, tries to improve businesses. Improving businesses, I always say there's two ways of being consultant. There's the way where you can be a friend to the person and they don't make much progress, or you can be blunt, honest, and sometimes it's not the easiest conversation to have with a business owner that, hey, guess what? Your accounting sucks and you really need to make these systems because someone could easily steal money from you and you wouldn't know it. Things like that.
So what are you saying, Paul? I'm not anybody's friend. I'm just that blunt person that tells them what to do.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I am. I mean, I don't know how you are at it. I am a very blunt person. And, I'm always I always tell people, I can be really, really nice and it could cost you a lot of money and you're probably not going to make a lot of growth. Or I can be myself and just kind of speak as I see it. And you probably will make a ton of growth pretty quickly. I'm just curious. I mean, I know you're super nice because every time I have conversations with you, you're super nice. How do we go about getting people to change, being nice, but being blunt? I mean, you can't be their best buddy because when business is being run right, they're not being run right.
Right. And I think here it is. A lot of people don't know me and hire me and don't know who I am. And a lot of people do know who I am. So I think there's a balance. But you're not going to hire somebody and I'm probably going to tell you your baby's a little ugly. But the thing is, I'm not telling you something you don't already know. So you're already at this place where something needs to change. We need to make some changes. That's what that authenticity from me is going to give that. And so there's a little bit of vulnerability involved, humility involved on both parts, and really just diving in and saying, here's what you need to do. And I think honesty could be you could be honest and not be blunt. It's just your delivery. And what does that look like? And oftentimes I think they appreciate that because everybody else around them might not be telling them what they need to hear, although they know. It's almost like, it's true when you hear it because it just resonates deep into their bones almost. Like it's like that. It's coming back to you and you're like, I had a feeling, or that's exactly what I thought, but I couldn't articulate it. It could be a myriad of different things. But again, it's just, what is it that they need to hear? And you also have to know who your audience is, just like you would with any owner that you're trying to bring on board. Know your audience, know what they need to hear, and how you deliver that. So you have to be respectful of their time, of their space, and all of that as well. Some I can be a little bit more jovial with. Some are just brass tacks. Let's just get down to business and get it done. And then, they know me or they don't know me, but we still have to build that relationship of trust. And that is built step by step with, honest feedback, but also solutions. Anybody can give you guys advice. Anybody can give, my opinion. But I think people want to hear an opinion and the why and the how and the when and the where and all of that. Like, how is that all going to happen and everything? That's what I think
it's really important to have, when you see something wrong, to have a goal of how they can make it right. To show them the window that, hey, there's some mud on the window, but we can clean it off. We can get rid of it, and you're going to be okay. You're going to make it through this. But, if we're in business, I don't think anyone has a perfect business. Nobody has perfect business. No one does anything perfectly. We all can use someone outside to not be I always like to say, I like to have my employees be like, hey, this system's crap, but they're usually not going to be blunt to their boss as they are as an outside consultant's going to be when they look at it and say, why is there a dead end in this process? Why is this happening? So,
when I come into a company and I'm working with the team as well, I think they actually appreciate it. And I do kind of spin it this way to say, hey, listen, they brought me in to make this better. So whatever's not working, I need to know so I can help address it. If I don't know, it will never get fixed and you'll continue to be miserable in your job. So there's a bunch of different ways that we could help both the team and the employer, everybody involved to kind of like come together. It's a lot of patience, a lot of diagnosing, not just the problems in the business, but we're all humans that are kind of generating the work behind all of this, behind the scenes. And that takes a little bit of finesse as well. So, a lot of work goes into making sure everybody's on board and adopting us. Because even when I'm hired by the owners of the company with thousands of doors, that change management cannot happen if I don't have a champion inside their team that's going to help promote it and implement it going forward.
And one of the good things for me with having help in my business was that I realized I'm really blunt. And I'm not mad at people. I'm just like, yeah, I don't like that. Let's just change it. And I don't really verbalize that. So that if I'm upset, I'll say, I'm upset because of blank, blank, and blank, and you were late to work 5 times. But if I just give you, hey, I want this done differently. But it was something that I almost had my other employees tell my employees as they came on, hey, if Paul talks to you, he's going to be really direct, really straightforward. It's just his personality type. And sometimes having consulted come in, you either find out that people are on the wrong seats on the bus, like they shouldn't be where they're at. And well, they've always been in that seat, but that's not a good seat for them. I'm sure that you use lots of techniques to find out what people's strengths are, what people's weaknesses are, where you can take a really good employee that's not good where they're at, put them in a better position, or let an employee go who's just property management's not the field for them because that's not where their strengths are. I mean, can you tell me a little bit about how you work with, because I've heard things that you work with personalities, you work with going strengths and where people are going to be excelling, correct?
So I think that's where my, PhD piece comes in, right? So that psychology of working with teams, like I said, it requires there's a certain finesse about doing it, right? Because a lot of times often our gut, when we kind of observe people of certain behaviors, we kind of tell that they're probably not the right fit, but oftentimes we don't know how to articulate the why. And I have to dig it deeper to kind of understand really that human behavior aspect. And so it's a little bit of a behavioral analysis that I do. So has a little science to it, right? So, they go through some tests, essentially some assessments that tell me, again, kind of a variety of different things, how they are at their job and also how they are, as an individual, and bringing in some of that humanizes it a little bit. It also brings down their guard. So oftentimes it turns into kind of a session where I'm talking to them and a lot of things will come out because of it. And it really just happens naturally. And that's the best part of all of it, because that's kind of the key to all of it. And if you take the time to kind of just dig in a little bit deeper, then it will make a lot of it just all make sense. And it's like, I always call it, it's like a puzzle. So I'm taking a bunch of little pieces and I'm trying to figure out why the puzzle can't be complete. And it may be that we do have wrong people in wrong seats. And oftentimes I might have a really great individual that is doing amazing at their job, but they got moved into another position and now they're not flourishing. And so we need to either put it back, or you're right, sometimes this is not the right industry. I mean, if you don't like conflict right away, there's not a lot of seats I could put you in that there's no conflict, except maybe accounting, but there's even conflict in accounting. So, but it's not to say it's a knee-jerk reaction to say, oh, well, if you don't like conflict, you can't be in here at all. Some people can overcome their own fears and, inabilities to do things because they need that growth as well. But I would say all of this with the caveat that this all goes back to the ownership as well. So employees are only as good as the culture that they thrive in. And so what are we providing them as owners to do well? Because without them, we don't have a company.
No, and some owners just shouldn't be owners. They should be owners, but they should be owners that are outside of the company and just monetary owners. Because some owners are not in a right spot. They need to hire someone to run the company because they're either too emotionally attached to, people's feelings, which as an owner, unfortunately, you can be that, but you can't be too emotionally attached. You have to be able to get things done and be able to go forward. And some people just are not the personality type. Owner is a specific personality type too. Someone who could, unless you are just, hey, I bought this, I paid for it, and I have other people running it. But I mean, I'm sure you have conversations with owners like, you really need to hire someone to manage the people because this is not the right position for you, right? Correct?
No, I think you're correct. I also think that you want to hire people that are better at the job than you are. So you don't want to hire somebody who you have to. I think that's kind of the constant worry. Hire somebody who's going to continue to do, who's going to level up the company. We've heard it multiple times. A+ players hire A+ players, work with A+ people, B+, et cetera, et cetera. So hire the people that you may, my weaknesses might be somebody else's strengths, my opportunities. I don't really like to use the word weakness, but there's opportunity in everything, but it's kind of like there has to be a balance. I don't want somebody exactly like me. That's not going to help. And so I think if we have that in mind and we know what we're looking for, then that's who we should be seeking. And that's what's going to level up the company, in addition to helping level up everything else. It plays into processes. It plays into the technology that's getting adopted and used. It's getting played into how we communicate to our owners and our residents. All of that ties into one another. And that's really essential to and key to driving the success of a company.
Well, and the things I looked for is I needed an integrator, I needed an organizer, because those were my weaknesses. I didn't need a visionary. That was my strength, going and plotting us in a different direction and looking at directions, looking where it was. So I think that you're right. Owners need to look at where are my weaknesses, And can I get the people in the right seats? I had David Flores, who was amazing at integrating. I would say, hey, we're going to do this with this software, and I want to do this for the tenants, and I want this to happen. And he'd be like, give me a week. A week later, I'd look at it and be like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. We want you to change this, we can change that. And it would get done. But, I wasn't going to be the one that was going to sit there for a week and try to play with Lead Simple and make it work. That was not something that, I wouldn't say I won't have the patience for it. Of course, I could, but it's not my love. It's not my love is to sit there and, and I've done it, and so that's, I agree. And that's where hiring Deb will help, because she will look at where your people are on the bus, look at where they might be strengthened on the bus, and look at what you might want to add to the bus.
Yeah, and it's more than just the people as well, right? So I'm also looking at, operationally, how you're running. I'm looking at your KPIs. I'm looking at the metrics. What do we need to build out for you? So we have a lot of different services that we can offer, but not everybody needs everything. So, we're looking at contracts. What revisions do we need to make? We're looking at the laws of the state that they're in. What things can they be doing? A lot of I can't tell you how many times I look at contracts and they're wrong. Or they haven't been updated, and they should be, because there's current laws that need to be, applied to it. And that changes the processes of how we do things. It's going to change completely how a move-in process might work, or how a move-out process will work. So making sure that there's roles inside the company as they grow that also will be paying attention to certain things that we should be paying attention to. So a company at 200 doors is not going to run the same at 400, same with 400 to 700, 700 to 1,000. You have to look at your company often at different intervals, and you're going to restructure. You might pivot from portfolio to department, back to portfolio to hybrid, and that's okay. It all really is dependent on growth, strategy, and how quickly those things happen. And people will come, people will go. That's natural. Some people will stay a very long time. But I'm working with a client right now. This particular one has around 10,000 doors, so they have a lot. And they're a massive company. They have about 400 employees, but interestingly enough, they're missing some, at the corporate level, they're missing some key players that would really alleviate some of the issues that they're finding on site. And one thing that I've identified pretty quickly is there's no trainer. When you have a company that size, you probably should have somebody who kind of owns some training, whether it's new procedures, new regulations that are happening. And, this is a resounding message that I'm hearing from on-site, from corporate, from all different players on the team. And so I'm having to kind of really diagnose and then really dig in, but then figure out the solution of how we're going to implement this and make this work. Because when you get to a larger company, and, they thought 3,000 wasn't a lot of doors. Now they're thinking they're at a lot of doors, but I know companies who would just be, thrilled at 3,000. But again, as you grow and you pivot, you keep adding more doors, your company's going to change, and roles will have to change, and you have to plan strategically for what roles do I need today and what roles am I going to need in the future, because as I grow, what's going to be a big impact to the company.
I agree. Even if you don't grow, let's say you stay at 300 doors for the next 10 years, your systems and processes and procedures are going to change because laws are going to change. Yeah. I mean, ChatGPT 4 years ago didn't exist. Now, if you're not using ChatGPT to get property descriptions, that's silly. Why would you spend time writing a property description when ChatGPT can do it better and faster?
But keep in mind, the technology is great. It's there to assist us. It's not there to do it for us. And so I always, somebody still has to kind of push the start button on anything. So while there's a lot of automation nowadays, this is still a very human, people-centric business. There's companies that we know that have tried to completely go technology only in our space, and it hasn't worked in the past, and it probably won't work today. At some point, a resident is still going to want to talk to a human. And so there's those, we might be able to run leaner as a company with technology, but somebody still has to be paying attention to the technology. So with ChatGPT, while it's super effective and it really helps, it's not perfect. So there's a lot of words that chat will spit out that I could read chat and I can be like, yeah, we need to change it up just so it kind of like there are people behind. Yeah. What?
So it sounds like human. So it doesn't use the starting word. It calls you because ChatGPT.
Foster aims or there's a lot of words that it uses that all the time that you just have to prompt it out and say, I don't want to use those words.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree. We're getting there, but the people, we are a people business, and we talk about running leaner. I always say, instead of running leaner, have more staff, have more things, but have more avenues of revenue. Like you can have more staff because like a lot of people are giving up sales, which could be $500,000 a year or more. They're giving up like so many different types of revenue that the better your customer service is and the better you can like show your clients what an amazing person you are, the more revenue you can have because, yes.
But I think you have to be careful with that too, Paul, because depending on where you're at, revenue might not be an option. And so additional revenue, like there's some states who you can't charge a lot of things to the tenants who they have to charge it to the owner or vice versa. So how do you have to
revenue streams? I'm talking completely different where the state can't stop it. Sales, states aren't going to stop. Doing something like syndication.
Find people into sales, but there's a lot of companies who never did sales.
I know, and they're leaving so much money on the table. Like I'm just saying
that might not be their skill set either.
That's what, but I'm just saying that we can look. The better your customer service is, the better you're giving an experience to owners and tenants. Leaner is great. And getting more things automated. I always said the more you could automate stuff, the better you can have customer experience that are meaningful instead of just running with your head cut off trying to catch up on what you need to do. So like owners just get really annoyed because when do proper managers call them when something's wrong? And that's the only thing. So as we got more automation, my goal was, hey, proper managers, call your owners, call 10 owners a month, just to give them an update that's not negative. Like a positive update. Like those are so that you could start making those contacts, those relations.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, I mean, I just think that wherever your business is, people like Deb can help you. People can help you. She can help you with your processes, procedures, where your people are on the bus. She can help. And automation's going to make your company leaner. And then from having those systems in place, you can grow faster. People have difficulty growing. My question is, which you probably have these, if you're a 400 door company, if someone came with 100 doors tomorrow, could you add them on? And your answer should always be yes. If you can't add doors on, it's because you don't have the systems in place, things like that. And so that's why people like you are worth every penny, because if you can make it so a company can add doors, be more efficient, and have better customer service, they're going to decrease their loss of door rate, and they're going to be more profitable.
Exactly. Perfect.
So everybody, this has been Paul Pinkowski with the Systems Conference. I'm my friend Deb Newell. She is a great person to talk to. If even if you're just like, I'm a little curious, call her, get a consultation, see if what you're doing. If she can't help you, she'll say, that's not for me. I have another someone else that I can refer you to because that's not my expertise. If you wanted syndication expertise, I don't think a syndication, but her thing is every consultant has their expertise. Deb has a ton of them, and she not only will tell you hers, but she will help you if it's something that's not in her wheelhouse. Correct?
That is correct. Perfect.
Awesome.
Well said.